All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So Connor Hughes of S&Y put out an article yesterday, basically just diving into specific topics, free agency, talking about some of the players that he doesn't think will be brought back to this Jets squad, right, pending free agents, and also gave his thoughts on some of the maybe Jets expectations heading into the draft. So let's go through it. Well, let's kick it off with that first, really with the first big topic, which is the Jets potentially trading up to spot number one. So Hughes says, I don't get the sense that the Jets will be overly aggressive in an attempt to trade up to the draft's first or second spot to select a quarterback. Yes, they've contacted the Titans, a source confirmed to S&Y. However, the way those discussions were described to me were as preliminary and just checking in. Essentially, Mougey was doing his homework. Yeah, that's what we were talking about yesterday, right? When the news or first report broke from Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano, of course the Jets could be believed to have interest in trading up, but I mean, you can really make that argument for everybody, right? I mean, the Jets, if I was Darren Mougey, I'm not closing any doors, especially during the combine week. Yeah, we can trade up. Yeah, we can trade down. Yeah, we can sit at 7. Every option is on the table. I don't think Mougey's leaning one way or another. I mean, we haven't seen pro days. We haven't seen private workouts. It's like these guys are flying to Florham Park. It's the combine week. The most the Jets have met with Cam Ward has been for 15 minutes. And of course, watching, the tape back at Miami. But I also think the current roster construction is not that good, right? The Jets are top heavy with, some top end talent, Gardner, Garrett, Olu, guys like that. But when you just take a look at the bulk of the roster and compare it to like a Buffalo or, I mean, some of these teams that are just well built out where you feel like their backups can step in and they're not really going to miss a beat, you start running into some issues when you're looking at the Jets depth chart with, of course, day one starters, guys that we just have, some pretty big roster holes, but also depth at specific positions as well. To trade up from 7 to 1, that's going to take a solid haul. It's not just going to be what was it, 2013 Miami trading a third round pick with the Raiders to move from wherever they were at to 3. It's just not the case at all. It's still the number 1 overall pick we're talking about here. So, I don't necessarily think, and who knows, maybe the Jets do trade up. And if the Jets do trade up, it's not like I'm going to sit here and just, berate the team, obviously, because they have a plan in place. If they fall in love with a guy, go get your guy. But I think right now with the amount of roster holes, I don't know how I would feel about trading 7, a 2026 first round pick, maybe a second and a third this year, along with a future third next year. That's a lot of young players that we're giving over to the Tennessee Titans to move up 6 selections. So moving forward into the article here, Connor Hughes basically lists off some veteran quarterback names: Justin Fields, Marcus Mariota, Carson Wentz are 3 names to keep an eye on per sources. But then here's where it really gets interesting. He does say that the caveat here is if something funky happens on draft night. While a trade up to the first 2 selections is too pricey, a trade up 2 spots, if a quarterback the Jets like slips, then Mougey can absolutely go up a pick or 2 to go get him, right? And that's kind of, talking about maybe jumping the Raiders, say if maybe like a Sanders starts slipping for whatever case, and this is very, very realistic, because I highly doubt Ward is going to slip past 3, but I just don't see the Giants passing up on Cam Ward if he's there. But if Sanders starts to slip, he gets by New England. Jacksonville doesn't really need a quarterback. Jacksonville can go in a myriad of different directions. Yeah, it does make sense for Jacksonville, with Gladstone coming in. Hey, let's pick up an extra mid-round pick. I would say realistically speaking, the Jaguars can probably get a 3rd round pick this year and maybe a 3rd or a 4th next year. Like that's the price it would take to jump literally just those 2 spots. Now it's still a pretty big price to pay, relatively speaking, but surely it's a lot less to do that than to go up to spot number 1. The question then becomes, how big is the drop off between Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders in the Jets' eyes, if there even is one? That's another, question. That's another curveball question that, we do have to ask here. But moving on, something interesting that he mentioned in regards to free agency, he said sources told SNY that the team was expressing interest in free agent tight ends. Jawan Johnson is the top target, but the Jets might opt to sign a cheaper player like Washington's John Bates. Now, I think whenever we have this, a new regime coming in, it's difficult to just read these reports as like 100% fact, because you don't know how the new regime likes to operate. You don't know what stories are going to be given out. How many free agent target lists have we gotten or heard, right? The Jets are interested in this guy, the Jets are interested in that guy, for them to just not have interest at all, or they can easily sign them to a bargain type of contract and then they just don't do it. I feel like that happens almost every offseason. Not really last offseason so much, but, in the previous years, like especially when Joe Douglas first took over, we were getting like free agent target lists and it just none of it was really accurate. But with this one, Jawan Johnson actually makes a ton of sense here, right? 28 years old, has spent 5 years with the New Orleans Saints, and I want to say for the most part has pretty much gotten better every single year, has been relied on more and more. Took a small step backwards in 2023 and then bounced back in 2024, duplicating a similar performance in 2022. But the bottom line is I would say, first off, he would come in and be an immediate upgrade, immediate tight end one, no questions asked, right off the bat. And if the Jets don't necessarily want to spend that 7th overall pick or the 42nd overall pick on a tight end, bringing in a guy like Johnson on a multi-year deal here, 28 years old, I'm totally fine if the Jets want to hand out a 3-year contract, a 4-year contract. In fact, I actually don't think the Jets should be handing out a lot of 1-year deals, right? I think the target for the Jets, right, the archetype for free agents are those younger free agents that, of course, fit the culture and system, but guys that they really feel like are building blocks. I just don't really think it's all that necessary for, a new head coach, a new GM, all this new schemes, all this newness, right, if you will, to just bring in cheap 1-year veterans with guys that are like 33 years old, that are just kind of stopgaps, right? If you want to do that for some positions, sure, that's cool, but I don't think that should be the target, right? I think targeting these 25-year-olds, these 26-year-olds that you feel like, hey, we can really build around this guy, or I envision him being a Jet for 4 years, like a Javon Holland, right? Someone like that. Levi Onwuzurike, could he be a target? Could Derek Barnes be a target? Could Jedrick Wills be a target? All these guys are really, really young, all things considered. So, I do think Jawan Johnson makes a ton of sense for this Jets team. And then in regards to some of the pending free agents, he goes on to say tight end Tyler Conklin is not expected to return. Neither is cornerback DJ Reed. We also got the report, 2 weeks ago, that Morgan Moses isn't expected to return. I really don't blame. I really don't blame Darren Mougey for letting these guys walk. DJ Reed, I love as a player, but will he fit this Aaron Glenn type of system? I don't know. So you have a question mark there. How much money do you want to invest in corner? Like that, Michael Carter's one of the highest paid slot guys. Gardner will be one of the highest paid outside guys, or one of the highest paid corners, period. Do you want to throw another $11-12 million annually at a corner 2 spot? That's where Will Johnson or someone makes sense. If the Jets want to trade back in the first round, there's so many corners that make sense for this Jets team. A Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame, a Trey Amos from Ole Miss. There's a lot of corners that the Jets can pick up in this upcoming class. But, we also have 2 young guys on the roster with Quantez Stiggers. There's been some rumors, hey, does Eccles come back? Does Isaiah Oliver come back? We'll see, but I think Stiggers, going into year 2 with the new defense, with the head coach as a former corner, I think he's going to appreciate Stiggers' game, kind of that hard-nosed, physical type of corner. So we'll see what happens with cornerback too, but yeah, with tight end, obviously, humongous need. Massive void at the position. And we talked, of course, about Jawan Johnson, but, then you focus in on right tackle. This is tough. Do you want to maybe go after Jedrick Wills on a 1-year incentive-based contract or a 2-year deal with a lot of the money maybe given in that first season? and then that second year, he's a little bit cheaper. That's really dependent on how you view him as a player right now, but he's a plug-and-play guy at right tackle, in my opinion. Do you think maybe Carter Warren, Max Mitchell, one of those guys step up? Do you want to see the Jets maybe trade back and scoop one up, pick one up in round 2? Ozzie Trapilo from Boston College, I love. Maybe they go with Membu at 7, right? There's so many options here to improve this team. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. The trade up stuff, Juwan Johnson, Tyler Conklin, DJ Reed not expected to be back. Man, cannot wait for this stuff to kick off. I have a lot of videos that I'm really excited to make and post this week. So anyway, let me know your thoughts. Thanks so much, and as always, go Jets.